Hi, I'm Micha Saren, and growing up in Southern California, I lived in a very culturally diverse community. I also come from a very culturally diverse family. One being African American, and I am married to a man who is Caucasian, and I do have two biracial children from that marriage. And I also have two children that are African American from another previous marriage. I also have an uncle who is gay, and I have a sister who identifies with the LGBTQ community. Culture has been a big thing in my family. We are accepting of everyone, no matter who you are, what race, what religion, what sexual orientation. That's all been something that has been okay with me my whole life. Now, as an educator, we have dispositions, what we feel is important to us and how we should act in the education community. But one of the dispositions that is very important to me is believing that every one of my students have the ability to learn, no matter where they come from, no matter who they are. Every student that walks into my classroom will learn. They may not learn at the same speed, they may not learn the same way, but they do all have the ability to learn. Also, with America being a very diverse nation, it's important for me as an educator to embrace this. I'm going to have students of many different cultures coming into my classroom every day. And I need to embrace those cultures. I need to understand that they are different, and I need to be sensitive to those cultures. I need to be sensitive to their learning style. Not everyone learns the same way we do in America, and I need to understand that. I also need to know that it's important that when a child comes into my classroom, they feel important, no matter what they look like, no matter what they wear, no matter what color they may be, no matter what sexual orientation they may be. When they come into my classroom, they will feel comfortable and they will feel accepted. I know for me as a woman of color, when I was a child, feeling accepted in a classroom was important for me, because oftentimes I felt as if I was kind of the odd man out, because I did go to school in a classroom that was majority white children. And many times I was the only black child in the classroom. I also believe that it's important that teachers treat children fair, no matter what they look like, no matter what color their skin may be, no matter their sexual orientation, no matter nothing. They should always treat their students fair. It is important that when students walk into the class, they are given the same advantages as any other student. They are given the same goals. They are given the same just advantages so that they're able to succeed. I know for me personally, when my brother was young, but being a black boy, he had a hard time. Many teachers told him he wasn't going to succeed. They told him he was going to drop out of school. He was going to never make it to high school, or if he did, he'd drop out in 10th grade. Teachers often made fun of him when he would say, "No, I'm going to be better than that." He really didn't have a teacher that looked to him and said, "You can do it." He had himself, and that was it. He had our family and himself. So he went through school not really understanding what it was like to be fair. But I can say that in June, my brother graduated with a PhD. He overcame the odds. Even though he wasn't treated fairly, he did succeed. I also believe that it's important that each one of our students has the ability to look up to us as a role model. As teachers, we do so much in the classroom, but it's important for us to be a role model outside of the classroom. We are role models in the classroom, outside the classroom, and even on social media. Students look up to us even when we think they're not watching. It is also important as an educator that we have the ability to stop and reflect I know being a new teacher, it's hard because we may not understand everything the first time. Things may not go as planned, but I think it allows us to grow and learn when we stop and reflect on the things that happen. When we reflect on things and say, oh, this worked for me or this didn't, it allows us to grow. It allows us to become a better teacher. And I believe that someday, with experience, I will become a great teacher also. I also believe that as a teacher, you should, and this is very important, you should allow your students to ask questions. You should allow your student to be inquisitive, because when they're asking questions, they're learning, they're gaining new knowledge each and every day. This to me is really important. I know as a student, many times I was told, oh, don't ask that right now. But I feel that when they ask questions, it's all right. They're learning. They're learning. Education should be, an educator should be a role model on every day, in everything they do. I believe that someday, educators will make an impact on an everyday life, no matter what. I believe as a teacher, we need to be able to respect the people that are around us. We need to treat them fairly and kindly. This is important, really important to me, because as a teacher, we teach the world. We're teaching the next generation. We need to show that we care, no matter who they are, no matter what they look like, no matter what color skin they may have. We need to show that we care and we're sensitive to them. It is also important as an educator to go out and work in your community. It's your community. It's the community you work in, you teach in. Your students live in the community. You should teach the students to want to help their community, to get involved. I also believe that as an educator, one of the most important things is you should never stop learning. Learning is one of the utmost important things to do as an educator. As things change, we need to learn. We take what we learned back to our classrooms. All of these dispositions are important to me. Every single one, they hold a very special place in my heart. Some may not be as high as the others, but that's okay. I know that they are all very important in the field of education. Thank you.